Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Tech Talk, reducing costs and modernizing IT by migrating your data archives to the cloud. My name is Brendan Sison, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at AWS. And I'm joined here today by Daryl Diacimito, who is a Senior Solutions Architect at AWS. A fun fact about Daryl and I is that we're actually both based in Boston, Massachusetts. We really appreciate you being here today and joining us from wherever you call home. And with that, let's dive right in. Here's a quick rundown of today's agenda. We'll first discuss the importance of having a modern data strategy. Next, we'll talk through some of the details and benefits around migrating your data into AWS. Then we'll walk through what archive data is, why you should archive your data, along with talking through some of the benefits of archiving your data in AWS. And finally, we'll conclude by summarizing the key takeaways of our talk. First off, as many of you may know, data is growing faster than ever, and exponential data growth really is the new normal. Consider this, from the very beginning of humanity to the year 2003, just 19 short years ago, only half a zettabyte of data was ever created. In 2013, it took only 2 days to create that same amount of information that you see on your screen right now. And that pace has been growing exponentially still. To put it into perspective, 1 zettabyte is equivalent to 1 trillion gigabytes. In 2018, global data was estimated to be 33 zettabytes. And that number is expected to grow 5.3 times to 181 zettabytes by 2025. I know I threw a lot of numbers at you, but the general point that I want to make is we have a ton of data now, and that volume of data continues to skyrocket. So you may be asking yourself, why is all this important? It's important because as your businesses scale from on-premises to cloud and hybrid, so do your applications. Your data is dynamic and comes in different formats, which makes it challenging to extract value. A modern data strategy, which we'll talk about today, can help you manage, act on, and react to your data so you can make better decisions, respond faster, and uncover new business opportunities. To better set the stage on the services we're going to discuss in more detail today, I thought it would be helpful to share a slide that showcases our complete AWS storage portfolio. Millions of customers around the world use AWS storage services today to transform their business, increase agility, reduce costs, and accelerate innovation. With AWS, you can choose from a broad portfolio of storage solutions with deep functionality for storing, accessing, protecting, and analyzing your data. Going from left to right on the slide, we have a broad and deep storage portfolio, and we offer services that span disaster recovery and backup, block, object, and file storage, along with data movement services that you can see on the right side of your screen. Today, we'll first dig deeper into our data movement services on the right side, such as AWS Data Sync, AWS Snow Family, and AWS Storage Gateway. For some, we understand that getting data into the cloud can be a challenge, and that's why we offer hybrid, edge, and data movement services that meet you where you are in the physical world to help ease your data transfer to the cloud. We'll then transition to focus on the Amazon S3 and S3 Glacier object storage services that are purpose-built for data archiving, providing you with the highest performance, the most data retrieval flexibility, and the lowest cost archive storage in the cloud. Now, I'll pass it to Daryl, where he'll talk about migrating your data into AWS and how to get started.
All right, thanks, Brendan, for that introduction. What if I told you that you could quickly, simply, and securely transfer data from your aging or expensive on-premises storage systems direct to low-cost archival storage tiers within AWS? Well, AWS Data Sync is a service that can help you achieve that, allowing you to free up your on-prem storage or vacate it entirely. Data sync at its core is helping customers deal with moving their data to storage locations where it is most needed, whether it is for data processing or providing multiple options for archive. Data archiving can range from small-scale data to terabytes or petabytes worth of data. Think small sets up to millions or billions of files for archive. Customers can start by tackling archive in a number of ways. They start by building and deploying their own custom scripts. Maybe that's to save cost up front. But they have to write these scripts, deploy these scripts, and possibly maintain them. Then you should start thinking about how are you going to encrypt this data, whether it's in flight or at rest? And then how do you go about verifying that data? And that's a big one. We have worked with some customers that have tried to do large-scale data archives on their own, and they forget to put in the development necessary to make sure they're verifying over again. So it's never a good situation for anybody to really be in. And networks, they can go down, storage goes offline. A lot of weird things can happen when you're talking about on-premises infrastructure, whether it's the storage arrays or the network layer. How do you deal with and recover from those errors? Networks can also be slow. How do you get the performance you're looking for and take advantage of the bandwidth that's available to you? Now, all of these things are associated with some of the challenges typically associated with moving your data for archive. AWS Data Sync is a service that was built to take care of these challenges. The Data Sync service is focused on copying file and object data as an online data migration service. We're not a database migration service. There are other tools for that. We're not focused on block data. So really a tool that's focused on archiving your file and object data. Data Sync was built to be fast. We have a customized TCP protocol that is highly parallelized and optimized to handle things like retries and retransmits. We also perform incremental transfers, so you're not just doing full source copies every time. We were designed to be easy to use. We allowed you to schedule transfers, to take advantage of potential downtimes in your network. And for those scenarios where you're always sharing the pipe, we allow you to throttle your bandwidth to share the services that may be on that network. We also have include and exclude filters to allow you to only archive the data that's important to you. AWS is always security-minded first, so the AWS Data Sync service provides end-to-end encryption using TLS 1.2. We have end-to-end verification of data byte for byte on the wire and at rest. And we support private link endpoints for those that want to keep their internet completely internal between their on-premises environment and AWS. We're a fully managed service, and like a lot of the AWS services that you know about, what that means is we take care of a lot of the heavy lifting associated with doing things on your own. And we take the burden of connecting from on-prem environments to AWS managed services, things like EFS and FSX and S3. Those can sometimes be challenging for customers to connect to effectively. We're also a very cost-effective service, 1.25 cents a gigabyte. It comes out to about $12 a terabyte to transfer this data with data sync with no minimums. We see a lot of cold data out there. And what I mean by cold data, it's data that's sitting on on-premises storage systems, taking up valuable storage space, and maybe it hasn't been accessed in a quarter or 2 quarters or even a year. And we see customers that see the value in moving that cold data up to the cloud to cost-effective storage tiers such as Amazon S3 Glacier, where they could take advantage of the low-cost storage and the durability of S3. And then once they move that data, they can then delete that data from their tier 1 storage systems to free it up for other use cases, or like I mentioned previously, migrate out of their data centers entirely. We also have additional use cases on top of archiving. There's a lot of applications out there, and they have data typically associated with them sitting on on-prem file servers and object storage systems. And as customers are migrating those apps with other mechanisms, they're using data sync to move their application data. Our incremental transfers make that easy. We also have customers that want to keep their data on premises, but make a second copy for data protection and recovery. Data sync scheduling and those incremental transfers, again, they can make that easy. And we see a lot of customers doing this today with S3. We also have another use case that's interesting and an uptick in the life sciences industry where we're moving data from on-prem to the cloud for timely processing. Think genomic sequencing, where particularly startups are buying these genomic sequencers, bringing them on premises. They don't want to build out the compute necessary locally in their local data centers. So they're using data sync to move that data in the cloud to take advantage of all of the AWS compute capabilities. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you can do with data sync for archive. You can use data sync to archive data from your on-premises environments that support the NFS, SMB, and object system protocols that support the S3 API, as well as from Hadoop HDFS file systems. Data sync also has a presence on the edge. We're built directly into AWS Snowcone devices and allow you to transfer to AWS storage services directly from Snowcone, or archive data to Amazon S3 directly from your S3 outposts. We also have cross-cloud capabilities, allowing you to move and archive data direct from Google Cloud Storage and Azure File. So there's lots of different ways you can use data sync to archive, and our goal is to move data to wherever you need it for all of your archiving needs. Taking a little closer look at this on-premises data migration, the first thing that occurs is you'll deploy the data sync agent on-site. And that agent is an AWS appliance provided by data sync, and it deploys on VMware, Hyper-V, or KVM. It will then connect to your on-premise storage arrays and talk directly to the AWS data sync service. That connection is always encrypted, and our protocol sits between the agent and the service to ensure you get the benefits of our optimized and parallelized data transfers. We provide multiple options on connecting our service to AWS. You can use VPC private endpoints, and these are for customers who need that private connectivity between their agent and AWS. It gives you the ability to take advantage of your direct connect, or you could also use VPN. We support public endpoints, and those work with direct connect too if you've configured a public VIF, but sometimes a public endpoint makes more sense than using that private endpoint. Sometimes you have a faster public endpoint than you do the direct connect, or maybe that direct connect shared. So it's nice to have both of those options. We also have FIPS endpoints, and those are for customers who need that level of compliance, typically government agencies. Now, a little bit about archiving data to the cloud. A common pattern that we see with our customers is that they want to be able to archive their data in the cloud, but in some cases, they still want to be able to access that data from their on-premises environments. So they start by copying that data with data sync from an on-prem server direct to S3 or even FSX, and then use the storage gateway service. And the storage gateway service supports both of those storage resources. And that storage gateway then allows them to deploy that on-prem and connect to their application servers. The benefit of that is they get to archive their data within S3 and still get that low latency connectivity they need from the caching layer of the storage gateway. We have an interesting use case, Formula One, very popular racing organization. They generate vast amount of data with their vehicles. And they had a use case where they wanted to move their archive from these on-prem locations into AWS S3. They had about 400 terabytes. They found the data sync solution, and this allowed them to push up to 4 terabytes a day, resulting in very fast data transfers. And then they utilized that storage gateway to provide their on-site engineers access to that video archive with low latency anytime they needed it. Now, we've been talking a lot about online transfers, but there's also an offline component. AWS has what is known as the Snow family of devices. And the Snow family helps customers that need to run operations in edge locations, non-data center-like environments, and in locations where there's lack of consistent network connectivity. The Snow devices, they consist of Snow Cone and Snowball, and they offer a number of physical devices in different capacity points, but they all come with built-in computing capabilities. These services help physically transport multiple petabytes of data into and out of AWS all the time. And Snow devices, they're owned and managed by AWS, so they're integrated with AWS security, monitoring, the storage management, and all the computing capabilities that you're familiar with using any of our AWS online services. So we have customers that are using these services together for large bulk uploads. And a pattern we see here is customers who don't have a lot of bandwidth, but they have a lot of data to move. They start by ordering these Snowball devices, and they order as many as they need to fulfill the requirements that they have within their data center. Then they bring them into their data center, they fill them up with data, and then they ship them back to AWS so that data can be uploaded to their S3 bucket. Once that data is in their bucket and the customer's verified that it's all been copied up there correctly, they can now continue to do incremental transfers, but these incremental transfers are using AWS Data Sync. And the reason why they can do this over their low bandwidth networks now is because AWS Data Sync is doing the incremental transfers. It's smart enough to go out there, analyze that S3 bucket, recognize the data that was already put there by the Snowball device, and then only change the deltas from the on-prem to Amazon S3. This way you can use both of these services together to accomplish your large data archival migrations before you do your final cutover. So another pattern we see is using AWS Snow Cone. So, as mentioned earlier, these Snow Cone devices, they have the data sync agent pre-packaged and built into this device. So we see customers that load data onto the Snow Cone device with the NFS interface, and that data gets stored locally on the Snow Cone. The customers can then use data sync to copy that data directly from the Snow Cone device to Amazon S3 or any of the other supported storage services that data sync supports. And they still have the option to ship that data back to AWS. So a lot of interesting ways that customers can use Snow Cone, giving them opportunities to either do that direct ship or use data sync to migrate data up and keep reusing that device for certain field responsibilities. So archiving with data sync, right? So with data sync, you can move your data to archive from your on-prem storage systems, as well as moving them between storage classes of AWS storage services. You can target specific Glacier storage classes that fit your archiving needs. And for situations where you have good network bandwidth, you can use data sync for direct on-prem archives and direct connect to the internet or utilize a VPC private link endpoint. For those other situations where your bandwidth may not be as good, you can use Snow devices in conjunction with data sync for your initial and incremental archival needs.
Thank you, Daryl. Daryl did a great job at reviewing the various methods we offer to transfer your data into AWS. When moving data to the cloud, you need to understand where you are moving it for different use cases, the types of data you are moving, and the network resources available, among other considerations. I kicked off the talk by discussing that organizations today face significant challenges with exponential data growth. Regulatory compliance requires long retention periods for a lot of that data. And as the volume of data grows, you need to store data more cost effectively while unlocking the value of your data. For this section of our tech talk, I'm going to review what archive data is, why you should archive your data, along with talking through the benefits of archiving your data into AWS. So with that, let's get started. No matter the topic, we as customers are always looking for ways to save on costs. And when it comes to specifically spending money on data storage, that thought process is really no different. When storage customers were previously confined by hardware refresh cycles, they looked at archive storage as a necessary insurance policy or a compliance retention tool. At AWS, we firmly believe that archive data is just data not in use at the moment. And I bet you have a fair amount of that data at your organization today, just simply data you aren't using at this present time. In fact, over 80% of the world's data is cold, and cold storage is used to retain data that is not actively in use. The key thing here is you don't need to make the decisions of what data you need for the applications of tomorrow. With AWS, you can store your archive data at very low cost and use only what you need when you need it. AWS data archiving solutions eliminate the infrastructure management headache for your team while creating true value for your business. Everyone around the world has archival data. Every company, every vertical, every industry, and in every geography. Often petabytes of data need to be stored indefinitely, such as medical records, news media content, and manufacturing data sets, among other data sets. If you really think about it, just about every company has an archival use case, yours included. Whether it's to meet compliance requirements, to retain historical data, or even to just store backups for long periods of time as part of a data protection strategy. Think about all the customers in the industry shown here. You see companies from media and entertainment, healthcare and life sciences, financial services, and many more. They are all very different industries. You all represent very different industries. But what you all have in common is that companies within all of these industries are modernizing their data by archiving data in AWS to lower storage costs and gain new insights. So while there are a lot of reasons why customers have chosen to archive in the cloud, many of our customers had previously stored their archives on premises to manage these use cases, and ultimately really decided to move their archive data into AWS to modernize their archives. Even though we see many different customers representing different industries archiving data on AWS, like we mentioned on the previous slide, there are really three primary use cases we see the most often: data retention, compliance, and disaster recovery. First, let's talk about data retention. Many of our customers are collecting a lot of data that has value to their customers. It could be data for machine learning or simply for data analysis, or it could be a company storing video and photo content. Oftentimes, companies want to keep historical data in case they have an important use case for it later on. And after a little while, it's likely that much of their data isn't being accessed more than 1 to 4 times per year. That is an archiving opportunity. Companies choose AWS for this use case because they want their data to be available when they need it down the line for an important business initiative. Many of our customers are also have compliance archive use cases. Customers such as in the financial services industry have mandates to store records for periods of time that are accessed only a few times per year, or really even less than that. They want a low-cost solution, so they consider archiving. They could store data on tape for low cost, but they choose AWS because they can store data at lower cost, and they don't have to manage tape or any other physical infrastructure. Finally, many customers are archiving in AWS for disaster recovery use cases. Our customers have many different backup and redundancy use cases, and it's critical to regularly assess and test your disaster recovery strategy so that you have confidence in invoking it should it become necessary. Customers love the flexibility they have in AWS when deciding how to archive for disaster recovery, as they can minimize downtime and data loss. Another reason customers love having both frequently accessed and archival data in AWS is that they don't need to manage multiple hardware solutions to get cost optimized storage for their different storage workloads. And that's because of all the storage options we provide within Amazon S3. Amazon S3, as Daryl mentioned, is a storage service that provides you with industry-leading scalability, availability, and security, allowing you to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. As many of you already know, archiving on premises, can be a challenge. It can be difficult. Hosting in a traditional data center is a challenge. As companies grow, they have to manage multiple data center sites for redundancy, and managing a global footprint makes that even more complex. Managing tape within data centers comes with even more challenges such as heat and humidity, not to mention data migration between tape generations. Some companies are storing archives offsite using tape, which leads to business risk of restoring that data if it's needed and reduces the ability to even utilize that data that's being retained. Many customers move their archives to AWS because they saw opportunities to lower their cost and complexity, which ultimately freed up IT resources to focus on their own customers. Archives in AWS are also much easier to monetize, simplifying operations and allowing customers to join in on our innovation. So, why do organizations choose to archive their data in AWS? First off, AWS makes it easier to move data out of archival storage and into distribution, making it easier to support modern workflows and increase business agility. The value of data is often directly correlated by your ability to use it. With your data in AWS, you can gain new insights and even monetize your data by transforming previously unused data into true and real business impact. And our customers love that they don't have to manage on-premises archives to get the cost benefits of archiving their data. Additionally, customers get long-term, secure, durable storage that's purpose-built for data archiving at the lowest cost in the cloud, and can even access that data in just milliseconds if they need it. As previously mentioned, we understand how quickly the volume of data created each day is increasing, and how many customers ask themselves how to best manage storage in this rapidly expanding world of data growth. So, what do you do with all of this data? You have to have an archiving strategy. With the rapid growth of data, we recommend an archive strategy to support your future growth at the lowest possible storage cost. AWS offers archive storage solutions for long-term retention, compliance, and digital preservation. Amazon S3 offers a range of storage classes that you can choose from based upon your data access, resiliency, and cost requirements for your workloads. The best way to minimize storage costs is to choose the right storage for your workload, and we provide a range of storage classes that allow you to do just that. Of the various storage classes that S3 offers, the Amazon S3 Glacier storage classes offer 3 purpose-built storage classes for data archiving, which we'll dig into more in the next slide. So now that you understand the benefits of archiving your data in AWS, how do you choose which AWS archive storage option is right for you? The answer to this question really boils down to the 3 fundamental differences between the archive storage classes, which are storage cost, retrieval speed, and how long you need to retain your data. AWS provides you with the best place to archive your data. So for rarely accessed data that needs millisecond retrieval, you can use S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval, shown on the upper left of the slide, which is a new storage class that we actually just announced at last reInvent in 2021. For archive data that does not require immediate access, but needs the flexibility to retrieve large sets of data at no cost, such as backup or disaster recovery, you can use S3 Glacier Flexible Retrieval. And to get the lowest cost storage in the cloud for compliance records, video footage, and historical data sets, you can use S3 Glacier Deep Archive. And to combine the benefits of automatic storage cost optimization with the low cost of archiving, we recommend using S3 Intelligent Tiering. If you don't know about S3 Intelligent Tiering, it's the only cloud storage class that delivers automatic storage cost savings when data access patterns change. And that's delivered without performance impact or operational overhead. The way I like to explain intelligent tiering is think of intelligent tiering as the easy button for data management, as it automatically saves you money by moving data to the most cost-efficient storage, really just allowing you to just set it and forget it. So in summary, today we talked about how AWS provides a portfolio of data transfer services to provide the right solution for any data movement project. How you can use AWS Data Sync and AWS Snow Family to help move your data archive to AWS. We also discussed the importance and benefits of archiving your data in the cloud. And we talked about how Amazon S3 helps maximize the value of archival data, all while reducing your storage costs. And lastly, we explained with all the innovation happening at AWS, there's no better place in the world to archive your data than in the Amazon S3 Glacier storage classes. Daryl and I wanted to also call out the new AWS Cloud Storage Learning Badges that we think will be a great resource for you to learn about AWS storage. With the speed of data growth and innovation that we discussed throughout the webinar, we understand it's a lot to keep up with. It's especially true if you're just getting started learning about AWS and cloud storage. Right now, cloud computing is the #1 in-demand skill employers are looking for. And many of you have asked us, how can you really dig into AWS storage and certification so that you can spend more time learning each of the most important aspects we see around cloud storage here at AWS? And so we now have an official badge that accompanies coursework following a curriculum we designed to give you that knowledge. We are now offering AWS Cloud Storage Badges, completely free of charge, earned by completing a storage learning plan. These learning plans are available now, and badges for successful completion have already begun rolling out with object storage and block storage. With these badges, you can demonstrate your AWS storage knowledge and skills with current employers, potential employers, and your community of peers. And additional modules will follow on file, data protection, disaster recovery, and migration throughout 2022. So definitely be on the lookout for those. And again, all of these will be available to you completely free of charge. And with that, that concludes our presentation today. We really hope that you found value from this talk and came away with helpful guidance you can use to reduce storage costs and modernizing your IT by migrating your data archives to the cloud. Thank you again for spending the time with us today. And now we'll open it up for any additional questions you may want to discuss. Thank you.